Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today we are doing my Nintendo Switch Game of the Year. Now there's some great games coming out in December, which is why I always stop at November the 30th, because if I try and do my Game of the Year towards the end of the year, I just won't get a chance to play some of those great games that come out in December. So that's why I always stop before some of those holiday games. So if you're wondering why they're not in it, it's because of that. We have had some really great games, so we're going to start by talking about some honourable mentions, and then we'll get into my Nintendo Switch Game of the Year. First up then, we've got to talk about No Man's Sky, so a game that's been out quite a while on other platforms, but they did an amazing job getting this over to the Nintendo Switch, and it released on the 7th of October this year, and wow, just a fantastic game. It did come really close to my Game of the Year. This is definitely in second place, very close to Game of the Year for me. This game to me it's everything that's wrong with modern gaming and also everything that can be right with modern gaming. They released this game and it was a mess. They went back and they said let's fix it, and they've just carried on adding content, improving the game, bringing it to other platforms. And they've kind of admitted that they made mistakes at the start, but they've made a fantastic game and continue to improve on all of those mistakes. And there aren't enough companies out there going out their way to go, we made a mistake, how can we make it better? They kind of just go, here's a little patch and we might get back to it, we might not. And it happens far too often. Every time you buy a game now, it will need patches. And that's modern gaming for you, but it's all about how those companies go about making those patches and improving the game and the experience. And the people, the developers at No Man's Sky, I cannot fault them enough, made mistakes and they have just improved. So yeah, this is why this is number 2 of my Game of the Year. With value for money, and obviously there's a lot of people struggling out there financially, so if you're looking for a game for value for money and in terms of hours you can play, this is going to set you back about £35, and you can put thousands of hours into this game. It took me about 40 hours to do the story, but there is so much more to this game than that. The whole base building and just going out and exploring, hundreds and thousands of hours into this game. So in terms of value for money, this game is well up there at probably the best value for money game on the Switch, I think. Number 2 then is a game called Extinction is Forever. I know a lot of people won't have heard of that, but if you do get the opportunity to play this game, it's definitely well worth playing. The reason I've put it in there as an honourable mention for Game of the Year is because in terms of the emotional journey this game took me through, it was just incredible. Particularly if you're a fan of wildlife, if you're a fan of animals, or even if you're not an animal lover, wow, this game takes you on a very emotional journey. And try not to spoil the story, it probably will make you cry. The reason this isn't higher on the list, I think it's just because of the length of the game. But then saying that, I don't know if I could actually handle playing this game anymore, just because any longer, and I don't think I could have held it together. It was just, the constant emotional roller coaster I went on with this game. It's definitely not for children. I wouldn't buy this game if your child loves animals, because it's not that kind of game. It's a very dark emotional journey of a game. Last of the honourable mentions then came out in April this year. Again, it has been on other consoles a while ago, but it's Star Wars Force Unleashed. Just a great game. It's a fantastic hack and slash. It's a great introduction to RPGs if you've never played one before, because it has some very light RPG elements, and they're very underrated Star Wars games, and just very underrated games in general, the Force Unleashed games. Hopefully this does mean we get to see the second game on the Switch, because the first one runs really well. It is an updated version of the Wii game, but still plays and looks really great, particularly in handheld mode on the Switch OLED. If you're a Star Wars fan and you own a Switch, there are an awful lot of Star Wars games on the Switch. I know they're older games, but still they are some of the best Star Wars games ever. Personally, for me, this is my favourite Star Wars game on the Switch, and it's well worth picking up if you love hack and slash games. If you like a good action adventure game, this one is definitely going to be for you. Here it is then. My game of the year for 2022 is Pokemon Legends Arceus. It wasn't perfect. There were a few little issues in it, but for the first time since 1998, so nearly 25 years, I put on Pokemon, I turned the console on, and it took me back to being a little kid again. It was everything I could have dreamt about when I was 8 years old, playing Pokemon Yellow, and finally, all these years later, I finally have it, and I got that feeling that I've been looking for since Pokemon Yellow. Finally a new game, a new Pokemon game that just, it made me feel all warm inside, and even with the faults, even with the graphics, I absolutely loved this game. I think when this came out, and it's only been out a few months, I think the most exciting thing is that they are looking into doing other stuff with the series, so it's not just kind of stuck on that linear path. They're going to go back and revisit old places. They're going to open up the history of Pokemon. There's just so much more they can do now with the games, and I think that's what's got me most excited. I know there's been issues with Scarlet and Violet. Maybe they've tried to do too much too soon, but with Arceus, I think it's like, okay, this is what we've got at the moment. We're putting it out there. Do people like it? And people absolutely loved it. And I hope they don't rush the next game. Whatever the next Legends game is, I hope they don't rush it. And I hope they just take all of these ideas and just, just fine tune them. Just perfect some of the stuff they've done with this Legends series and just keep improving on it bit by bit. And I think that's why I'm really excited for the series, and that's why it's my game of the year. Okay guys, so I know that was kind of 3 honourable mentions that maybe probably wouldn't make your game of the year, or maybe they did, and then I think that Pokemon Legends game, I think that'll be game of the year for a lot of people. But let me know in the comments, what was your game of the year? Which of these games have you played? Are you going to pick any of them up now you've seen what they look like? If you're new, hit subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care guys, thank you.